This is Nigel Farage Investigates Part 2. Let's see what we can find out.
What is truly incredible, here you've got the shipping lanes. I mean, these little dinghies going through the lanes. I'm absolutely amazed there's not been a collision and a very serious loss of life. There will be before too long. So we're in the middle of the shipping lanes. Mercifully, it's not foggy. We know there is a rib carrying 10 people on it. They've been spotted wearing life jackets. We're now hunting for it. So we've seen it, we've seen the rib, we've had sight of it in the distance, we're now trying to hunt it down. It's much more difficult in the sea to find something than you can imagine. Not just us, border force have left over, they're on their way out, a spotter plane's in the air as well. So, I mean, you can see the sheer resources that the British state is having to put in to police this. I have no idea what it's costing, but it's a lot.
So far, is there anything of a racist connotation? Everything that he's explaining there, you can see the amount of effort now to try and track this boat and what will happen, being that we're a giving country, being that we'll help people out. And is it racist to bring it up?
So we've relocated the rib. We can now see it out the front. It's about a mile away. We're closing pretty fast. We are in British waters. Whether this one was escorted over by the French Navy or not, I can't say. What I can say is all of these people will now be allowed to stay in the United Kingdom. The numbers coming are now at a faster rate than at any point in the last few years, and we're only in the middle of May. If we don't do anything about this, it will be many, many thousands of people this year. And you'll notice 80% of them are young men coming in from all over the world. No doubt they think England is the land of milk and honey. Most of them will finish up working for very unpleasant slave masters, living in near slave conditions. We should be ashamed of ourselves at every level. These people are taking massive risks, but they know the risks are worth it.
So that compounds the human trafficking element again. What jobs will these people have? How will they receive their income? If they're getting subsidised, then will they try and find a way of upping that subsidisation, whether it be legal or illegal? We can't assume that everyone that comes over is a criminal. We can't assume that. But we also can't assume that every one of them is going to be innocent and sweet and light either. No doubt, what is happening, there is crime that will be going up. There will be social chaos with these local communities that will go up, as well as there may be elements of cohesion. There will be elements of gratitude from some of these refugees. Can't deny that. Some of them will be totally appreciative. Some of them won't see that at all and will see it as a free meal ticket and ultimately get back in touch with people back home to encourage them to make the move over. Either way, most of these people have already got a leg up in society over the disadvantaged that are already in this society straight away. They've got ultimate human rights the moment they enter our waters. Where's the human rights of a homeless guy? Where's the human rights of a lady that's found herself down on a luck? So when you've got people in this country that are going through that, the homeless, the disadvantaged, what will they be thinking when they see people come in straight away? They look adequately clothed. Most of them may have mobile phones, and they will get all the services that are afforded to them. Is that fair on someone who is already disadvantaged, who can't even get a leg up? You can't get benefits if you haven't got on a boat. So that's wrong. That's very wrong.
Well, they've declared it a search and rescue mission, but you do get the feeling that they just want border force to come or the lifeboat to come. And it's as if this is a story that isn't to be told. But you know what? Today, we're going to tell it. They're doing about 4.5 knots. We're doing about 11. As you can see, they're about 300 yards, so we're closing. We'll obviously slow down because the weight from this boat's quite big. You can see the boat's absolutely packed. all being charged a minimum of €5,000 each for the criminal gangs to make this crossing. But imagine this, if it puffed up. Imagine this if the sea was choppy.
If this is true in terms of the money that's being passed through, why aren't people investigating this? Why aren't people trying to find out who is trafficking these people? Who is making the money? Get the money back off them, put them in jail. Why is no one even talking about it? Why is the go-to, well, let's not worry about it, let's just put them in hotels, let's get the local community to now really all come together around this?
It's the first time Hoylake has been chosen to house refugees while they wait for their cases to be heard. And there's been no shortage of people making their visitors welcome. More now from our Merseyside correspondent, Andy Bonner.
In Hoylake, they're used to welcoming people from around the world. Home to some top golfing events, the community in this affluent Wirral suburb has always greeted its guests. But never before have they hosted a large group of refugees. Nearly 40 men were sent at no notice during lockdown, yet the community sprang into action.
It's quite emotional, really, in a way, to hear that we moan because we had to be in lockdown or whatever, but these people have taken, some of them taken a year and a half to get here, and their journey, that what they've done is just scary.
Your closest relation, really, your closest person.
People have rallied around the men, giving them food and support. They're all living under the same roof, waiting for their cases to be processed in a system which appears to have slowed in lockdown. The Northwest is one of the country's top so-called dispersal areas for people seeking asylum. This group have come from a range of countries, desperate for help.
If in reality, the start of these refugees' journey started from human trafficking, why is no journalist asking the question, who is trafficking them?
We could put them under tow, but there's no point because we know that Border Force Speedwell is the vessel is on its way from Dover, so we will just kind of keep guard here. We're having one or two language problems here. We're telling them a lifeboat's coming, but we're going to stay with them anyway. I mean, you can't believe when you see how close the water is to the edge. I mean, how massively overcrowded this is. You do get the feeling, no wonder they're wet and cold when they arrive, you do get the feeling that the criminal gangs over in Calais couldn't really give a damn about these people. Oh, they've lost something, look. They keep losing things. They lost a pump earlier, that's a life jacket they've lost.
Who is aiding and abetting the traffickers? Who is complicit? This is sad, so sad, because ultimately, you can't blame these people. These are the pawns in this overall chess game. The pawns that are being manipulated, they're being motivated. So you can't blame these. It's a sad, sad story that Europe is getting flooded over manipulation. Is this Agenda 2030? Is this the Kalergi plan? Whatever is going on, without getting conspiratorial, whatever is going on, it's human trafficking on an industrial scale that we're witnessing.
You know, they have told us there were 22 of them. We've offered them water, we've offered them food, they don't want anything. Look out, they've lost something else now. That's the petrol can gone. This is Dover Lifeboat. They've had a very busy morning. There were some vessels picked up earlier on. Obviously, we've seen the spotter planes. We found this vessel first. We've obviously told Lifeboat exactly where we are, given our position. They followed in on that. So they are now coming in to continue the rescue. And they will, in a minute, we'll watch them all being taken on board. And you know, I know a lot of people that work on the lifeboats. I've spoken to a few people that work for Border Force. They don't do this job to be a taxi service for illegal immigrants once they've reached the United Kingdom. And a lot of the guys that are working on these crews are really very disenchanted with the job. You know, they joined it to genuinely save lives, fine, but not for this trade.
So here's a good point then. Why don't the lifeguards, the rescue services, why don't they speak out? You know, there's too many people here that are staying quiet. There's too many people from point A to point Z, whether you want to class it as that are not really getting involved, not saying anything. If there are, you know, search and rescue that can see what's going on, say something. Once they touch English soil, if we can see the coach, drivers, say something. If we've got hoteliers that are now getting involved, say something. It's all right just doing good and going, well, let's not critique it, let's not question it, let's just maintain the doing the good bit. That's all well and good. But what is going on here? Why is this happening? Why have we got a constant trickle, and no one seems to know when it's going to end? When are these hotels going to become available again? I mean, I'm all up for the economy growing again. We need it. We're in a recession. We'll probably be in a depression within a couple of years if we're not already. So we need the economy. But we're ultimately paying for these hotels to be full. And no one can even be bothered explaining to us. That's the sad thing. That was a couple of months ago that Nigel Farage, and you can see, you know, apparently all Liverpool fans are coming out now having a piece of him, because from that video, he's then gone on to have a look in the Northwest at various hotels, and he's discovered that they're full. And when he goes to speak to a member of staff, none of them want to talk to him at all. You know, so there's something not right. No one's talking, but everything is still moving forward. This is just a little bit of the clip in the Northwest, and he's traveling around to various hotels that I do believe people have emailed believing that this is happening in their area, possibly.
So last week we went to the Bromsgrove Spa Hotel. I'd been told by local residents that recently the hotel had been filled up with illegal immigrants, but closed. So we went up, we visited, I made a video, and we've exposed the fact that all over the country what's happening is hotels are being filled up by people crossing the channel, people getting into the country illegally. What's the reaction been? Well, nobody wanted to talk about this, but I tell you what, they're talking about it now, at least you are. Nearly 7 million views on social media of that film we made last week, and yet Sajid Javid, the local member of parliament for that area, has not said a single word about it. The government have said absolutely nothing. Serco, the company that have been given a £2 billion contract by the government over the next 10 years to house these people, they've said I was wrong because actually they're accommodating women and children as well. Well, not in that hotel, they're not, is all I can say. And they say that it's temporary until they can find more permanent solutions.
But what I would say, whether they're housing women and children or not, what about the guy with a dog on a rope? What about the lady who has to go to a food bank? What about the lady who's on the verge of losing her kids? Where's all these vital services for them? Now, if these are making billions of pounds over a 10-year period, where's the guy with a dog on a rope going to be in 10 years? Is the lady going to still have a kid in 10 years' time? Can the other lady carry on living off food banks for 10 years? So it seems that elements of the working class is declining like never before. And this COVID will accelerate that in so many different ways. People losing their jobs left, right, and centre. But yet, you're slammed. And the only critique they can really say, well, we are housing women and children as well. Them hotels are supposed to be for tourists, for people who want to stay and manoeuvre around the country. They're not freebie hotels. When you have a hotel that's full in a certain area, The economy of that area, the community, benefits as well, because people tend to spend the money in that community. This is going the other way round. Not only are we paying for them to be housed in this area, plus the money it's took to get them there, but yet the area, under obligation of probably guilt and trying to do the right thing by the bleeding world, is funding to help them by donating, by doing whatever they're doing. So it's a cost. It's not something that will eventually actually bring any money in for that community. And that's going without any social issues that may be a consequence of this. Will they be kept quiet if we start to see incidents happen? Will it be kept quiet if we see incidents of local people not being happy? That'll be put on headline news. Racist locals. But yet, nothing negative about what is going on and what the overall plan is.
And they say that it's temporary until they can find more permanent solutions. This is backed up by the Home Office. They also say the use of hotels is temporary, but you try and book a room, in Bromsgrove, and you'll find it's booked for months and months to come. But interesting, isn't it, that the Home Office talk about finding permanent solutions. There is almost an acceptance in the Home Office that if you come to this country, you will be allowed to stay. And mainstream media, they won't touch it with a barge pole. But then, when I made the films out in the English Channel about the handovers, if you remember at the time, nobody else would cover this, and now we've got Good Morning Britain, Sky, the BBC, and many others that are doing so. So I think that if we keep pushing this, we'll get a proper debate. Now, what I've learned is that the Northwest is the region that's been most heavily burdened with this.
Now, the interesting thing there, the Northwest, could be anywhere in the country, but on this occasion, it's the Northwest. It seems to be the working class that get burdened with these beautiful initiatives of trying to help the world. It's all right for these middle-class liberals to tell everyone that we're going to save the world and we're going to house the world and we're going to finance the world. But they don't seem to house or finance them anywhere near these people. They seem to throw them in working-class areas that's already on its knees, culturally, financially, So what's that going to do to an area? It's not going to help it, is it? It's only going to create more social issues down the road, surely.
So we're here in leafy Cheshire, in Sandbach, and we're going into the Chimney House Hotel. No, we're not going into the Chimney House Hotel because it's closed. But there's a phone number. What's the number? No, didn't answer. There's not much we can do, is there? We know it's full because we've had lots of local residents saying, how come people are being put up in this amazing country house hotel? And quite a big place for wedding receptions, conferences, things like you see. It looks absolutely amazing. They don't want us going in, do they? Gosh. Well, look, I can't get in there. I'm not going to climb the fence. But we've had over a dozen emails from local residents here in Sandbach telling us this hotel is closed, but it's actually full. It's exactly the same thing as we saw in Bromsgrove last week. So we've come a couple of junctions up the M6. We are now at the Desbury Park Hotel, which is just outside Warrington. It's owned by Britannia Hotels. It's a big conference centre, has very glitzy videos, all the rest of it. Let's see what we can find. Oh, by the way, they're doing very well. Their business is phenomenal. We just tried to book an evening room in November and they're full. I mean, to have business like that, wow. Well, there's the leisure club. Yeah, they've got lovely swimming pools here and spas and all the rest of it. So it's not all bad. I'll have a look. Is it closed?
Yeah, the hotel's closed.
We looked on the website. And we tried to book, but you're full for the rest of the year, are you?
Yeah, well, the hotel's full, so you're going to have to speak to Circle Direct if you wish to speak to them.
Right, but it's full.
Thank you.
But it's full.
Yeah, the hotel's full, sir.
But it's full.
The hotel's full, sir. You're going to have to speak to Circle.
Close to London, you mean?
The hotel's full, sir. Could you contact Circle Direct?
Looks pretty busy. Well, I'll contact Circle Direct.
So you got men hanging about now all over the place, because they'll have fuck all to do, will they? And you think, well, is that good? Is that useful? I mean, if you were going to do this, not being funny, give him something to do. Get him cleaning the local fucking woods or something. Giving them pins of things, a couple of bags, get a couple of Viz vests on him and march him up the reserve. To me, at least that's putting something back into society, and it'll occupy them a little bit. And I'd also say that for anyone else, any chav, anyone who is not being a positive role model in society, get them something to do. Most of the streets of England look like shit with rubbish everywhere. We've got a society that just wants to dump its rubbish wherever it wants. Why we've got people just sat about scratching their ass? I mean, let's get going here. Let's make this society a bit cleaner.
So what is clear, what is pretty clear by the response of both hotels so far, is that following our trip to Bromsgrove last week, they put all these places on high alert just to keep people out. Obviously they couldn't fence this one off. Yeah, the idea of the hotel's closed, but it's full. So it's that same story. But they really are on alert. You can tell.
I'm on alert. What's going on here? I mean, until you know every individual in there, their records, you don't know what they've been up to in their own country. Now, most of them may be fleeing persecution and are decent, honourable people. That might be the case. I'm not going to castigate the whole lot of them, but you can't say that about all of them. Some of them may be dodgy as anything, and no one seems to know. They're on high alert not to let anyone near the hotel, but they're not on high alert to keep your eye on any of these people that have got dodgy records that might now just wander around and do ultimately bad things in society.
Okay, so we're now just approaching the Mercure Chester North Woodhay House Hotel. We're kind of in Ellesmere Port, really. But we don't have to travel very far around the northwest to go to hotel after hotel that is closed. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, and by the way, thank you, all of you who've given me the addresses of these hotels. Massive response to what I put out last week. But one of the reasons I'm doing it, I just want people to get a handle on the sheer scale of what is going on here.
Nigel, you are a naughty boy. You're a very naughty boy.
So here we are, classic of all the others we've seen. Car park completely empty, all the bedroom windows open, which means people are there, they're in. Let's have a look. Is it blocked off, or let's have a look. There we are, empty car park but full hotel. It's the same story everywhere we go. I shouldn't be laughing, really. So this is the fourth stop here in the northwest this morning. We are now here at the Holiday Inn Express, Liverpool Hoylake, formerly known as the King's Gap Hotel. Hoylake, nice little seaside town, famed of course because the British Open Golf Championship comes here from time to time. And yeah, it's a nice part of the world. This hotel, like all the others, it's the same story. After I put out that video last week, local residents here getting in touch with me, saying that it's all been filled up with illegal migrants. But what's fascinating up here, I've just seen a Granada news report saying the whole town is overjoyed this is happening. Never has Hoylake been so welcoming. It's completely one-sided media. I'm doing my best to get this out because the government don't want you to know about it. Serco, who have been paid £2 billion over the next 10 years, certainly don't want you to know about it. But the impression's given that there were local consultations, the local community is very, very happy. Well, one of the people who contacted me from this area is a fellow called Justin. Justin.
Nigel.
Hoylake is home to you.
Yes.
What's happened here?
Well, a couple of months ago, the rumour mill started, and the next thing it filtered out, because the council didn't tell anybody, that we'd taken on about 40 or 50 refugees, as they've described them.
Yep.
And they've been here ever since. We don't know where they're from. We don't know who's paying for it, but we suspect they're not.
No, you are.
Yeah. And I have to say, we're not looking at impoverished-looking chaps here. We're looking at young men in their 20s, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger in some cases, well-dressed, well-fed, well-cared for, which they're all good things. But when it was discovered that they'd been taken over to Anfield...
To what?
Anfield, it's the home of Liverpool football.
I know what
club.
Anfield is. What do you mean they were taken to Anfield?
Well, someone in their wisdom thought they might enjoy a day out. So there's thousands of kids around here who'd love to do something like that, but these lucky men got to do it instead.
What do you say went to Anfield?
They went for a guided tour.
What, all round?
All around the stadium, into the dressing room, through the tunnel, saw the famous Anfield sign, all of these things, yeah. But certainly, it's not the kind of event that is readily available for everybody else to do.
Yeah, and just after they won the Premiership as well.
Literally, it was July 16th was the day they went to Anfield.
Absolutely astonishing. And I can imagine that because they've all got great phones,
Yeah.
I can imagine selfies, posts,
Yep.
and a message going back to their home countries. Hey guys, I got across the channel, look how good this is.
Well, they've certainly all got phones. I don't know who they're speaking to or sending their message to, but, well, yeah, I mean, you have to wonder, don't you?
Absolutely astonishing. That is astonishing. We're going to have to find some evidence of that Anfield trip. I believe you, but let's find some evidence about the Anfield trip. Well, I've got to tell you, I've heard all sorts of things, but the thought that you come here illegally, get put up in a nice hotel, and then get to visit the Premier League champions, you've got some more investigating to do. It says, all back home to Hoylake after a memorable day. Highlights were the excitement of seeing Mo Salah's peg in the changing room, the gasps as we walked through the tunnel into the stadium, and tucking into pizza and fish and chips. Here we go again. Completely locked. Yeah, we have to have a pass. Do we have to have a pass key? Here we go. Hello there.
Hello there, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So how long is this booked up for?
How long's this booked for? I can't answer any questions on that.
You can't answer any questions?
No.
Is it a month?
You need to speak to the
6 months?
No, I can't answer any questions.
Do you not know, or you can't answer?
Okay. I'm not at liberty to answer at the moment.
Wow. So is it completely closed to the public?
At the moment, yes.
Astonishing. How long have you been here?
Again, I'm not going to answer that. I'll get into conversation about that.
Are you told not to say that?
No. It's just me myself.
Is it? It's funny. You're the fourth person today. You're the fourth person today who's been himself and said nothing. I think you're probably told what to do, but I get why. There's a lot of money involved, isn't there?
I can't comment on that, sir. I can't comment on that.
I can. All right, fine. Well, there we are. Same everywhere. Serco obviously getting a bit nervous, but then, hey, their share price is doing well.
Okay.
Another local resident, Phil. Phil, good to meet you, mate.
And you as well.
I'm told, I've watched all the news reports. Everyone's thrilled that what was known as the King's Gap Hotel has been filled up with illegal migrants.
Oh, surely. That's not what I've heard. I mean, quite the contrary. I've heard that the taxpayers are paying for all this. I've lived here all my life, apart from a stint in London for 10 years, and I'm just appalled by what's going on.
It's stone bonkers.
So we can see, guys, we can see what's going on here. We can see how wrong it is. We can see the damage possibly that this may do. So you get the mayor that comes out, because what then happens, Nigel Farage finds out that these people are being taken out on bloody day trips, Anfield being one of them. Same again, what positive or positivity they're doing in society. Give them something to do. Give them something to do. Many people in society that would love to go to Anfield, they would love to go to Old Trafford, they would love to go to the Man City Stadium. They ain't got the facility. Skint, you know. Do we get people that just literally come in off a dinghy 5 minutes ago that's just afforded all this? I'm already seeing posts fighting for the rights for GP places and all the other stuff that will have to come because they're now entitled. They've got human rights. They've got just as much, if not more, human rights than the actual indigenous individual in this country, whether that indigenous individual be white or black. And that's the bottom line. So you've got the mayor that comes out and sticks the boot in. Now, is that fair? There he is. Is that fair for him to do that? Does he speak for all Liverpudlians? Because I'm sure there's some that won't feel that he speaks for them. Liverpool Mayor Joe Anderson has labelled Nigel Farage a substitute for a human being, as he said the city would much rather welcome refugees than the former UKIP leader. Now, that's not very welcoming, is it? You know, I love the way these politicians come out with pretty hurtful and hateful things, unjustly to people, when all Nigel Farage has done on the footage I've just shown you there is just highlighting. He's saying how there's an element of manipulation in it. There's an element of complicit behaviour. And someone's making a lot of money. We can see human traffickers that are making a lot of money. Other systems will kick into place, which will make them financially kind of better off for doing so. Not forgetting the contract that these hotels have got. And all of them probably for having this little deal and making these little deals will have a vow of secrecy. So that can't be right, can it? That can't be right. And where's it going to end? Are you going to end up now with very few hotels for actual tourists to stay in, because it seems that we're housing more and more refugees, migrants? We can get semantical, but I'm sure there's a bit of both within there. And this is all on the assumption that they're all going to be great, they're all going to be perfect, they're all going to be beneficial to society, and they're all going to be appreciative and give back to the country as well. This is all on that assumption.
It's stone bonkers.
None of it's on the assumption that this could go badly wrong. You know, this will cost us a lot of money. There doesn't seem to be too many people that want to acknowledge that. So when the shit hits the fan, are these people that are going to ultimately call people racist, are they going to now take it on the chin that they've caused these social issues? They've caused an element of racism to maybe heighten in certain areas because of this.
Bonkers.
They've caused more poverty within the local community, but on the simple fact that for every refugee that gets a hand up, it's a hand up less for a homeless, for someone who does actually need the use of these services.
Bonkers.
Including the NHS. What do you think, guys? I'm sure you will let me know. Thank you for taking the time out. This is Red Pill Phil on YouTube, covering Naughty Naughty Nigel. I love you all.
I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you all. 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 I love you all.